Well, hello everyone, and thank y'all for coming. This past Monday, April 29th, the 206th night of the ongoing genocide in Palestine, VCU police, Richmond police, and Virginia State Police brutalized the people present at VCU's Gaza Solidarity encampment. A peaceful protest with the aim to pressure the university to divest from Israel. This escalation by administration resulted in the traumatic and violent brutalization of hundreds of people in the VCU community and multiple arrests. VCU administration, spearheaded by President Michael Rao, allowed the deployment of these brutal police forces that are deeply connected to the IOF. We condemn VCU admin's decision to call and allow such violence on its own students. Our students are battered, mentally and physically, as a direct result of a call by the institution that was meant to protect the interests of its students, and did not. I would like to take a second to read off a few experiences by said students. For safety reasons, their identities will be kept anonymous. Student 1 stated, I was looking forward to being a part of a peaceful protest/encampment at the campus so VCU would finally acknowledge our concerns and meet our demands in support of Palestine. I went into it thinking the worst outcome would be getting arrested, but no. I walked away, actually stumbled away, with severe burns all over my body and an inability to breathe. At the same time, I was trying to make sure my friends were okay. As soon as those officers started spraying us with the chemical agents, all I heard were screams filled with pain. It was terrifying. Not only did they spray us for peacefully protesting, but when we tried to get into the library, they locked the doors and refused to let us in. We were crying in pain, dumping water on our faces, and they just watched us. How could you allow this, VCU? I'm not only angry, I'm disappointed that the college I give so much money to would allow their students to get abused in this way. I will never forget that night and how horrendously VCU handled the aftermath. Student 2 stated, my time in the encampment was spent with friends and members of the community. Nothing but peace, love, and liberation were the goals. We were painting signs, singing, dancing, and coming together as a community. I've never felt safer or prouder to be a part of it. Shock and disappointment were the feelings felt as the cops arrived in full riot gear, giving us no warnings, no chance to communicate our wants, no opportunity to stand up for our own encampment. Before we knew it, we had been shoved away from our camp, all of our personal belongings taken without us even being told, and relentless pushback for even asking questions on how to proceed. As the police forces in front of us grew, so did the aggression. I was met with tear gas sprayed across the crowd and the screaming sounds of my fellow students. It was utter chaos, full pouring water on bottles on anyone around me and hugging and holding those near me because we were all in this together. Student 3 stated, I chose to participate in one of the most positive and moving demonstrations in my life, the Liberated Zone. The students set up, fostering a sense of community that frankly, this university fails to do. I sat with friends making art, studying together, and having fruitful discussions about the extremely brutal situation in Gaza that is being perpetrated by our university funds. We have been calling for divestment for months. This university administration seems to have no care for our voices, the students' voices. The peaceful liberated zone was a shout to our administration that us students are the people who make this school what it is, and we have the right to be heard and be present on this campus, especially regarding the allocation of our funds. I truly had no idea that this positive, peaceful, warm community would end up with me on the ground. After being militarized with riot gear called on students who were dancing, singing on our campus, I had to be dragged out of the campus as I was choking on my own snot. My skin was on fire and I was unable to see, making me blind to the horrific beatings that some of my friends continued to take. Beatings. We tried to get into the library just to get some water to flush out my face, and it was locked. I felt absolutely brutalized by not just the police, but my own school. I raised my voice on Monday and was physically silenced and blinded by this university. Shame on this institution that attempts to say it is progressive and democratic.
On Tuesday, there was supposed to be a gathering event with free food for people to reflect on what took place on the same lawn on Monday night. Upon going out to the area, cops began to show up. They showed up with stacks of zip tie cuffs and red spray canisters and began surrounding the area and observing. And the previous day, on Monday, we found out the cops were suited and parked with riot gear ready to brutalize students who were sitting on the lawn with music and food. There was no between from students gathered and painting and dancing to reports that police in riot gear were on their way and around the corner. I think of the UCLA chant, "There is no riot here. Why are you in riot gear?" Students were being policed for the intent to sit in the lawn with blankets and to reflect. I began to think to myself, wow, we can't even sit in the grass at school without police intimidation from cops prepared to spray and make arrests. I then thought about the people of Palestine who every day are attacked and brutalized for simply trying to live their lives. The children have been attacked for years and years at school while playing outside and being with friends. As much as we were brutalized, we can't ignore the brutalization of Palestinian people across decades. It is tragic, and the system in which it is occurring is essentially the same system of police brutality that impacts the people of the U.S. more intensely on our Black and brown communities. Exposing and breaking down this systemic connection is integral to the movement. Upon trying to protest the genocide of Palestinian people on Monday night, we were brutalized by police who used some of the same tactics on us students. Our police systems are directly related to the brutal ones from forces from Israel that are hurting Palestinian people every day. In theory, it is a cycle, leaving many feeling stuck and trying to break down one part of a system, as upon doing that, another part was enacted upon us. As I stated before, across the country and in many Virginia localities, police are sent to Israel for training, taking back what they learned from Israeli militant police and military to use on the U.S. and the people of America. This exchange of brutal tactics must be extensively understood to protect oppressed peoples globally. Additionally, in 2023, Virginia police donated a surplus of tactical gear to Israel to brutalize the people of Palestine. Shame. It is all connected, and this concept was particularly represented with the unprecedented attack on students by the Virginia State Police Department on Monday night. As tragic as it is, police brutality is a connecting factor to rising Black solidarity there is for the Palestinian cause. During the 2020 BLM uprising, people in Palestine were sending regards for us, giving protest tactics and what to do, running with the wind, how to tie your face, how to conceal your identity. Message of support from Palestine flooded the streets of the BLM protesters. Murals of George Floyd were put up, and there were statements all the way from Palestine in support. Our solidarity is historical, it is integral, and like I said, as tragic as it is, our solidarity is rooted in love, but also the interconnectivity and the intersectionality of oppressive forces that come for both of us. So today, I share this to let you know and educate you all about the interconnectivity of these systems, to learn about them and to break them down. I call for Black support, for student support, and for anybody who has a heart and who is willing to support this cause. We need you. Thank you.
I sit as a student ambassador for the office of the president. But after the experiences of Monday evening, I can no longer align myself with an administration that is complicit to genocide and willing to brutalize students like myself who oppose apartheid and demand divestment. President Rao, you do not get to use photos of me wearing a kufiyya, shaking your hand after a meeting in which I do not feel listened to, and post that photo on Instagram. You do not get to do this and send police forces to brutalize me and my comrades that you claim
you, Michael Rowe.
I was present at the event on Monday, and let me start off by saying the reason that my voice sounds like this is due to the amount of toxic waste, pepper spray, whatever was used on me that got into my throat. And it has been 3 days since then, and my voice still sounds like this. On Monday, we were peacefully protesting, and like was said before, without any warning to disperse, the next step that VCU chose to take was to send buses of police with riot gear on, carrying guns and chemicals. I stood there alongside all my comrades, face to face with the police, being a college student, not knowing what my fate was next. And I can confidently tell you guys, it is without exaggeration that I say that at one point, I feared that I would not make it out of there alive. On Monday, I was also brutalized by the police, getting thrown down at least 5 times. They attempted to arrest me a multitude of times, and thankfully, because of my comrades, I was de-arrested each time. Within the first 5 seconds of the police moving forward and approaching us, I was sprayed, and I could not see. I fell back, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was shouting my friend's name, because I was worried that right after I hit the ground, I was gone. There was a multitude of times that the police took it into their own hands after peacefully protesting, deciding to throw me onto the ground by my shoulders, by my head, having their knee on my back and neck at one point, trying to get me not to get up. My arm was taken and twisted behind my back as I was thrown to the ground. There is video evidence of the police approaching peaceful protesters and smacking me on the head with their shield. Currently undergoing physical injuries as well, between my leg, my arm, and my head, and actually the undetermined of what is going on with my head as well. The police decided to brutally assault me and my comrades and my friends after we were peacefully protesting. The narrative of this action has been twisted. VCU police and administration utilized false claims of violent assembly to set precedents for heavy police escalation. As the liberated zone moved into an encampment, administrators no longer sought out students to provide information about student code of conduct violations. Instead, as music played and as we danced and as tents went up and people gathered in the community, the administration made a decision that the response to a student code of conduct violation regarding structures and gatherings was reason enough to call upon a militarized police force against college students. While the people of the Solidarity encampment recovered from the brutalization, administration and police jumped to creating a story that framed the encampment as violent. Let it be known that the violence was state-sanctioned. It arrived on buses with riot gear shields and pepper spray canisters, and not with tents, food, stockpiles, people dancing, and cardboard signs. Any suggestion that this level of response was appropriate is repulsive. This response was not because of the encampment being a violent entity. It is because the encampment's a direct symbol of the power of collective political demands of divestment. This response is one of political repression. The university and the state have clearly aligned themselves with Israeli apartheid.
Amidst urgent calls for condemnation, new reactive demands are being centered, but we must remember the demands that initiated this action. One of which is the defense of pro-Palestinian speech and activism on VCU's campuses. Before the events of Monday night, the university has continuously censored this activism. And this is done through quiet changes in policy. Administrative policy is being utilized as a weapon and a tool to enact force, not just against free speech, but upon the bodies of the people that walk this campus. Our demands still stand. Disclose all institutional expenditure, including but not limited to indirect investments, endowments, stocks, bonds, hedge funds, and more. Divest from all companies and partnerships that support or otherwise profit from the colonization and genocide of the Palestinian people, and this includes full divestment of financial investments and a complete academic boycott from Israeli institutions, terminating the relationships with the companies active in this apartheid and this genocide. We demand that you declare and support an immediate ceasefire, an immediate end to the occupation, the colonization, the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, and we condemn the U.S. complicity in the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And as stated, a demand that you defend pro-Palestinian speech and activism on VCU's campuses. VCU must support these students and protect our right to protest. We are calling upon students, faculty, student organizations, people to recenter the demands of this action. Over the past 3 days, various faculty and student organizations have released letters of condemnation of the brutal violence that we have faced. We truly appreciate these letters and these concerns and these letters of support, as it shows us that we are united in this movement, and it legitimizes the brutality of Monday's police escalation despite the gaslighting that is happening. However, we want to make it clear that this action was for Palestine. Palestine is the center of this movement, and your solidarity for the students that were brutalized should be nothing more than the solidarity for the Palestinians killed by the Israeli occupation. Do not let what has happened, let you divert your eyes and your attention from Palestine. Let it mobilize you.
Given everything you all have just heard, given the fact that you heard testimonies, you heard those being brutalized by police after being peacefully and protesting peacefully. People were hospitalized that night, me included. After hearing all of this, it is not an option to stay silent. It is not. So with all this in mind, we urge the people, the student organizations, the staff, and the faculty, the community, to join us in our call for what we need from the university. Divestment from the systems that let this genocide and occupation exist, and the system that allowed for this brutality to exist in the first place. So while we collectively recover from the traumas of Monday evening together, we want to acknowledge the sense of urgency and sense of anxiety around maintaining the energy of the movement. This movement is not reactionary. So for this to last, we must recover, and we must strategize, and we must build relationships. We must organize and reorient ourselves in a way that keeps our people safe, because we can never have a repeat of what happened Monday night. As we've learned that we can do that. And we keep our demands sustainable and we keep them united. Because we have to be united together in all of this. None of us are alone in all this, and that is the most important thing to note. So please visit the @VCU Divest Instagram bio to sign on to the form to be a part of our coalition. I encourage you guys to take the following actions. 1, to email and call admin. This is very important. We currently have admin already on trying to sign something at the removal of President Rao. So the urgency is necessary. The professors and the faculty want to hear from the students that they teach and they care about. So-called, at least. I need you guys to call. I need you guys to call the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and demand charges are dropped against those that were arrested. There were 13 arrested that night. We need you guys to show up to the arraignment of those arrested tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the John Marshall Courthouse. Please remember to wear a mask and remember that there are no cellular devices allowed in the courtroom. Everybody, we must remember why we are here. We must build the world that we wish to live in. We have to acknowledge and see the fact everybody standing here, everybody that was there Monday night, we all underwent a very similar thing. We all underwent something that never should have happened in the first place. We have each other because it is beyond clear that the university does not have us. We have each other. So we must build the world that we wish to live in. And this begins with real, tangible change in these demands. So we must do this together, all of us together. Because everyone, when we come together, that is when we will not be defeated. Not by police, not by the university, not by anybody. And so I say one more time as we repeated Monday night while we were being brutalized. I say one more time. The people united will never be defeated. 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 The people united will never be defeated.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We just want to thank everybody who came and thank y'all for listening. And I want to end on one more chant, which is
Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest!
Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose!
Exactly, exactly. So with that in mind, everybody, everything that you felt, every emotion that you felt right now, whether it was frustration, whether it was sadness, whether it was hurt, whether it was anger, all of those feelings are valid. And I urge you guys to never let anybody, whether that be the university, the admin, the faculty, whatever it may be, never let them convince you that those are not valid, and never let them convince you that what happened Monday night did not happen Monday night, okay? I urge you guys to remember that. And I urge you guys to take all that energy, put it into change, and implement, because we are all here standing together, and we will not rest until all of it is done. And I urge you guys to continue that, because we need to be the force to drive that change for us and for the future generations coming as well. And it is very important to note, I need to say one more time as well, everybody that was here on Monday, recall why we were here in the first place, for the people of Gaza, for the people of Palestine that are suffering this amount of brutality every single day in their daily lives. We got a little bit of a taste of it, and it was horrendous. So I need you guys to remember that and keep that in the forefront of your brain. And remember that the encampments were not to draw attention away to Gaza, but to draw attention towards it. So remember that, and keep that in your heart, keep that in your brain, and urge everybody around you to take that energy and drive that change. Because everybody here can all commonly agree, we will not be silenced about this, and we will not let anybody, whether it is Rao, whether it is admin, whoever it may be, convince us that what we are feeling is incorrect, and convince us in any sort of way, shape, or form that the response on Monday was even a little bit acceptable at all. Every single one of you needs to stand with that in mind and use everything you're feeling right now to drive that change. We are united together, and we will not be defeated together. And I need you guys to keep that in your heads as well. Support one another, because who do we have? We have each other, right? Who do we protect? We protect each other, right? Stay with that, keep that in your brains, and support each other. We are all in this together. We are not alone. Do not let anybody convince you that we are. The people united will never be defeated, and we will not be defeated.